everyone, it's Raina. So this video is if you have your sun in Libra and your moon in Capricorn. And I just did the opposite of that combination. And I think out of the two combinations that this one is going to be a little bit more challenging overall. And when I say challenging, I don't mean that, oh, the person is going to have a hard time in life necessarily, but it can manifest as someone who has a very sociable persona, but their emotions might tend to be rather austere because the moon represents the emotions. Libra is a sign that is very great with the social graces. Look to your rising sign though too, to get a feel for more of the way that you come across to others, because that will also play into it. This combination is a double cardinal sign. Double cardinal signs mean that it intensifies or heightens that very active go-getter type of nature. And people like this tend to have a lot going on in their lives. They tend to be very busy people, very scheduled, having a lot of irons in the fire. And this means that your active lifestyle, if you have a partner, you're going to tend to want somebody who reflects that back to you, and that you can, as a Libra, because relationships are very important to you, you can have a partner who is also doing a lot of stuff. But because your moon is in Capricorn, there's always that nagging feeling that you should be doing more work, making your career more secure or successful, because when I did the other combination, the sun was in Capricorn, and there's a difference between the sun and moon in a sign. The moon can be more of the shadow as far as I'm concerned, and so the sign that it inhabits, I would look at more of the challenging traits of that sign and how they will manifest with the moon being in that sign. So in this case, Capricorn. And some of those things relate to this idea of how a person feels secure, because the moon is our security. And in Capricorn, it's with success. So if a person is struggling career-wise, they can feel emotionally off kilter. And Libra, as a sun sign, or just, as a personal planet, can also represent that idea of wanting balance, but that can throw you off into the imbalanced category if you are not feeling successful, because that is just something that is inherent within yourself, to feel like, in order to feel safe, to feel good about yourself, but it's more than self-esteem, which I would associate more with the sun. I think it's emotional, maybe like acceptance, because the moon can be the mother. So you may have a dynamic with your mother, or the person who is the mother figure in your life, where she was very ambitious for you. In some cases, it may have been still loving, and yet maybe she was very high-powered in her career, and she wanted her child to be successful. But it might have been, in many cases, that the child felt loved conditionally. If they got straight A's on the report card, everything was peaches and cream. If they, didn't achieve what they were, the mother wanted them to achieve, then Maybe they were given the cold shoulder. And by the way, speaking of cold shoulder, this can indicate an emotional nature that has a coldness to it. We cannot just go by the moon sign in and of itself. We have to combine it with the sun. We have to look at the rising sign and other factors. But just in and of itself, the moon in Capricorn is cold because the ruler of Capricorn is Saturn, and Saturn is not warm and fuzzy, to say the least. So, and also Capricorn is an earth sign, so earth signs don't tend to exude warmth. I have the moon in Virgo, and I can attest to this, although I have the sun in Sag, which is a fire sign, so maybe I can give the illusion of being warm. I'm just joking, but you know what I'm saying. That kind of emotional display for me is not like that. I'm more like analytical and all of that. And some people are just, they ooze warmth. Libra isn't necessarily warm, but it's very personable. It's, you know, you could say, when I say coldness with Capricorn, it can almost be like the Aquarius, which, by the way, Aquarius is co-ruled by Saturn. It's also ruled by Uranus, which is the planet that we associate it with, but it's also ruled by Saturn. There's like an aloofness with Aquarius, and you could say a similar thing with the moon in Capricorn. But I just got a comment today, and somebody said, oh, you can't say blah, blah, blah about this. When I say these things, I'm talking about it isolated within itself and what it represents. It's not going to be the ultimate information for someone, because they have to combine all of those influences in their chart. And where is the moon? The moon is in the 5th house. The person may be more playful and creative. If the moon is in the 12th house and they have the moon in Capricorn, they may be more emo. They might be more Piscean and more vulnerable. So it all depends. Now, I think that this combination can be quite successful because Libra is a sign that does put its best face forward and does come from a place of wanting to not only to have other people approve of your behavior, so you stay conscious of how you are acting in social situations, but also in terms of just wanting to be a good person, a fair person, a nice person. Libra doesn't want to be somebody who hurts people's feelings, a kind person. You want to treat people with respect. There's just like a genuine good intentions coming from people who are born under the sign of Libra. Usually, there's always going to be outliers, obviously. And with the moon in Capricorn, it's also about your social standing. What will people think of me? A Libra person can say that on their own, but with the moon in Capricorn, it's like, I don't want to risk the loss of my reputation. Capricorn rules the 10th house of career, but also one's public standing, their reputation. And so that's something that can be of emotional concern. In terms of careers that you might gravitate towards, anything that involves a hierarchy may feel kind of almost like family to you with the moon in Capricorn. Capricorn can rule structures like governments and things like that. With the moon in Capricorn, you may just feel more at home in those types of environments, because it's almost like it feels more secure in the sense that there are these, it's like a pecking order and different steps up that are very well laid out. And so you don't feel like life is nebulous. You feel like everything is very clear. The sun in Libra, I mean, the typical things that I would say are connected to the arts or anything involving beauty, like a home decorator, if you were in academia, maybe art history, or an actual art teacher in any grade level. But in addition to all of that, in those kinds of the educational field, I could see somebody with this combination being a lawyer, because Libra is connected to the law, whether you're a lawyer or paralegal. But with the moon in Capricorn, it might be with an eye towards status. And I just want to say that status, I think sometimes people think that that is some kind of like superficial thing, that a person just wants to be seen as successful to gratify their ego. But it's really more about, for Capricorn, respectability. In terms of, it's kind of funny. The one thing I could say that I would see as similar between Libra and Capricorn is how other people view you, wanting that favorable impression that you make on other people. But it's not so much because you want to be seen as good or something about your personality. It's about achievement. And it's similar in the way when you think about how people, the reasons people want to be affluent or wealthy. Some people, it is an ego gratification where they might dress in very conspicuously obvious types of clothing that like designer labels, where people know exactly how much those clothing items cost, or they're driving a certain type of car, the status symbols. That's to feel that self-aggrandizement about their, along with their material accomplishments. With Capricorns, it's more on the level of, you have attained this. You have earned the right to this. So it's like also acknowledging the hard work that it took. It's not just about the glory. It's about the accomplishment that comes along with it. And I think, and also just not, there's even though Capricorn is an earth sign and you could say it's materialistic, a lot of Capricorns, and the moon, I'm going to talk about, just like the sun sign in particular, but they don't tend to flaunt wealth as much as they want to maybe live in a community that is more affluent, just because they want to have that status. But it's not just about the everyday luxury items. That's not what does it for Capricorn. So with the moon sign, I would say the same thing on the emotional level in particular, where there's that, it's almost like a need. It's a need to be successful and to have other people view you that way, because it makes you feel secure for whatever reason. There's an emotional need for that. And like I said, I think it does sometimes, or maybe a lot of times, have to do with the relationship to the mother. If she was kind of doling out her acceptance when you achieve certain things, you may just go through life trying to do the same thing with other people. But in any case, I'm trying to think about, so with your private life with Libra in the forefront, I think relationships are definitely going to be important for you, but you will probably be able to temper yourself in this regard when it comes to fitting in career moves, because you don't want to sacrifice one for the other. The average Libra person may drop everything to become involved in a relationship, but somebody with the moon in Capricorn may have self-restraint where they're able to say, okay, not so fast. I don't want to jeopardize my career by getting involved with this person or that person. It's important to look at your Venus and Mars to see what kind of person or what signs they're in, because that could influence. If you have, if you're a Libra and you have inner planets in Scorpio, for instance, or Virgo, you may find with the moon in Capricorn that you attract and are attracted to earth signs or water signs. And this may not be the best match for you. I said may not be because you can't say something as a blanket statement. That's absolutely absurd. You can't do that. It's going to be a case-by-case basis. But the real reason that I say this is because Libra is a sign that is very intelligent and very social and very fun-loving, even though you may come across as more serious and goal-oriented sometimes than your Libra brothers and sisters. And I'm talking about I'm not talking about your literal brothers and sisters, but your Libra brothers and sisters. So you may tend to be comfortable with somebody who's more serious and then find out that you don't really like their personality. It's kind of a downer. So you have to look at that because there might be a very strong pull. Sometimes when I do private readings, I have people who are, let's say I'm just using this as an example. Let's say their sun sign is in Libra and then they have the moon in Capricorn and they have Venus in Virgo and Mars in Scorpio or something like that. And, I'm not even talking about the rising sign. They may find themselves thinking that they're attracted to, let's say, a Taurus or a Scorpio person or something like that. And then when they get involved in a relationship, it's like ultimately they feel this sense of boredom, or, they don't feel that stimulation, or they don't feel compatible in terms of objectives. And I would say that the sun sign would be the objectives. So the goals in life that extend beyond the career as well, and sometimes that can be at odds with another person and you can have a mismatch. So you have to, when you have like these very different types of energies, you have to get very clear on ultimately what you're about. And I think we always go back to the sun sign at the end of the day. And overall, I would say to look at how you carry yourself in terms of needing that outer stamp of approval when it comes to yourself as, whatever you consider your image or your reputation to be. Because Eckhart Tolle, I think, is such a great equalizer. I don't know how to put it, with his videos about just showing the folly of having an identity that you have to maintain. And that's what I'm trying to get at with the moon in Capricorn, is that there's always, it's always fraught with peril when a person has a need for something to happen, especially as it pertains to career objectives, where if they perceive themselves as a failure or they're slipping, they're not as successful as they used to be, how will that impact their emotional state? Will they become very depressed or anxious? Will they feel insecure within themselves because they don't have that thing to define them anymore, or to make them feel as if they are respectable? Okay. It's really about being okay. And I just feel like Eckhart Tolle totally demolishes that part of the human experience in a good way, in a humorous way, to show that that is such an illusion. So that might be good to listen to sometimes if you feel like anxious about something that isn't going the way that you want in the outer world. And yeah, so I think I'll leave it there. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.